He looked like someone to be afraid of, but when I was stranded, scared, and alone in the middle of nowhere, Johnny Sins showed up, and what he did next changed how I see people forever. People always judged him. Bald head, huge build, silent stare, I was one of them. But after what he did for me that night during the worst snowstorm in 20 years, I'll never see him the same again. I'm telling you this story because I need people to know who Johnny Sins really is, not the assumptions, not the whispers, the real man. It was February 14th, 2024. Valentine's Day, which already felt like a cruel joke since my boyfriend Marcus had broken up with me 3 days earlier. I was driving back from my friend Sarah's place in the mountains, where I'd gone to drink away my sorrows and maybe get some perspective on my life. The whole thing had been a disaster. I'd just wallowed in self-pity while Sarah tried unsuccessfully to cheer me up. The snow started falling around 8 p.m., just light flurries at first. I remember thinking it was almost pretty, the way the flakes caught in my headlights as I wound down the mountain road. My 2019 Honda Civic wasn't exactly built for mountain driving, but I'd made this trip dozens of times before. I figured I'd be fine. I was wrong. By 9:30, the snow was coming down in thick, heavy sheets. I could barely see 10 feet ahead of me. The road had disappeared under a blanket of white, and I was following what I hoped were tire tracks from someone who'd passed before me. My hands were cramped from gripping the steering wheel so tight, and my heart was pounding against my ribs. That's when I felt it, that sickening slide when your tires lose all grip. The car started drifting sideways, and no matter how I turned the wheel, I couldn't control it. Time slowed down as I watched the guardrail rushing toward me. The impact wasn't violent, just this dull crunch as my front bumper kissed the metal barrier. The engine sputtered and died. I sat there for a moment, breathing hard, my hands shaking. The silence was deafening, except for the wind howling outside. I tried turning the key, nothing. The battery was dead, and my phone showed no signal. I was stranded on a mountain road, in a blizzard, with no way to call for help. The cold crept in fast. I'd been wearing just a hoodie and jeans, not exactly winter survival gear. I tried to stay calm, telling myself someone would come along soon, but as the minutes ticked by and the snow kept falling, panic started setting in. The windows were fogging up and I could feel the temperature dropping by the minute. That's when I saw the headlights. They appeared like two golden eyes cutting through the storm, moving slowly and deliberately down the mountain. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight and started waving it frantically through the windshield. Please see me, I thought. Please don't drive past. The vehicle, a massive black pickup truck, slowed down and pulled over about 20 feet ahead of me. The driver's door opened, and through the swirling snow, I saw him. Johnny Sins. I recognized him immediately, though I'd never seen him in person before. He was exactly as I'd imagined from the stories people told. Tall, imposing, with that unmistakable bald head and powerful build. He was wearing a heavy winter coat and work boots, moving with the kind of confidence that comes from someone who knows exactly what they're doing. My first instinct, I'm ashamed to admit, was fear. All the rumors I'd heard about him flashed through my mind. People said he was trouble, that he had a dark past, that you didn't want to cross him, but I was trapped and he was my only hope. He knocked on my window, and I rolled it down. You okay in there? His voice was deep, but surprisingly gentle, not threatening at all. My car died, I said, my teeth already chattering. No signal up here. He nodded, scanning the situation with those intense dark eyes. This storm's getting worse. We need to get you out of here. The way he said we struck me, not you need to figure this out, or good luck with that. We, like my problem had automatically become his problem. I can try to jump your battery, he said, but honestly, I don't think that car's going anywhere tonight in this weather. Road's about to be impassable. What do you mean? He gestured toward the valley below, where the lights of town were barely visible through the storm. There's only one way down this mountain, and it's about to be completely snowed in. We've got maybe 30 minutes before even my truck can't make it. The weight of what he was saying hit me. I could die up here. Look, he continued, I've got a place about 10 minutes from here. It's warm, got food, and we can wait out the storm. I can bring you back for your car tomorrow. Every alarm bell in my head was going off, getting into a truck with Johnny Sins, going to his place. It sounded like the beginning of a horror movie, but the alternative was freezing to death in my car. I hesitated. He seemed to read my thoughts. I know what people say about me, he said quietly, and I know you're scared, but I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just trying to help. There was something in his voice, a sadness, maybe resignation, that made me look at him differently. This wasn't some predator trying to lure me in. This was a man who was used to people being afraid of him, and it hurt. Okay, I said. He helped me grab my backpack and phone charger, then led me to his truck. The inside was immaculate, leather seats, country music playing softly, and one of those pine tree air fresheners hanging from the rear view mirror. On the dashboard was a photo of an older woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. Your mom? I asked as he started the engine. Was, he said simply. She passed last year. I'm sorry. He nodded but didn't say anything else. We drove in comfortable silence, the truck's powerful engine handling the snow like it was nothing. I found myself stealing glances at him, trying to reconcile this quiet, careful man with the dangerous figure from local gossip. His place turned out to be a modest cabin tucked into a grove of pine trees. Nothing fancy, just a simple A-frame with a stone chimney, smoking against the storm. The porch light cast a warm glow over the fresh snow, and I could see firewood stacked neatly under an overhang. Home, sweet home, he said, though there was no pride in his voice, just matter of fact. Inside, the cabin was cozy and surprisingly well decorated. There were bookshelves along one wall, filled with everything from classic literature to repair manuals. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, and the whole place smelled like pine and coffee. You can charge your phone over there, he said, pointing to an outlet by the couch. I'll make us some dinner. I watched him move around the small kitchen with practiced efficiency. He wasn't the hulking brute people made him out to be. His movements were careful, almost gentle. He made grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, asking if I had any food allergies, and apologizing that he didn't have anything fancier. This is perfect, I told him, and I meant it. We ate at his small wooden table, the storm raging outside. I kept waiting for him to ask personal questions or make me uncomfortable, but he didn't. He just let me eat in peace, occasionally glancing out the window at the snow. Pretty wild storm, I said, trying to make conversation. Worst one in years, he agreed. Good thing I was driving that road when I was. What were you doing up there? Had to help Mrs. Chen with her generator. She's 83 and lives alone up on Ridge Road. Power went out around dinner time. Of course he was helping an elderly woman. I was starting to realize that everything I'd assumed about Johnny Sins was wrong. That was nice of you, I said. He shrugged. She's good people, used to bring me soup when I first moved up here, and didn't know anybody. After dinner, he set me up on the couch with blankets and pillows, insisting I take the comfortable spot while he took the chair. He built up the fire and made sure I had everything I needed: water, phone charger, extra blankets. I'm usually up pretty early, he said, but I'll try to be quiet. Feel free to sleep as long as you need. I thanked him and he disappeared into what I assumed was his bedroom. I lay there listening to the storm, trying to process everything that had happened. This man, this supposedly dangerous man, had risked his own safety to help a stranger, fed me, given me shelter, and asked for nothing in return. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I thought about how different this night could have gone, how I might have died in that car if he hadn't come along, how he'd probably saved my life without even thinking about it. Around 2 a.m., I heard him get up. I pretended to be asleep as he quietly added logs to the fire, making sure I'd stay warm through the night. The care in his movements, the way he adjusted the blanket that had slipped off my shoulders. It was like watching a father tuck in his child. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee and pancakes. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world transformed by snow. Everything was pristine white and sparkling in the morning sun. Johnny was in the kitchen, fully dressed and ready for the day. He'd let me sleep until almost 10 a.m. "Morning," he said, handing me a cup of coffee. "How'd you sleep?" "Better than I have in weeks," I admitted. He smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from him. It completely changed his face, making him look younger and more approachable. "Roads are clear enough to get your car," he said. "I called my buddy Dave. He's got a tow truck. He'll meet us up there." Dave turned out to be a cheerful guy in his 50s who clearly respected Johnny. They got my car started and checked everything over, refusing to let me pay for the service. "Johnny's helped me out plenty of times," Dave said when I tried to offer money. "Consider it paid forward." As we drove back down the mountain, Johnny was quiet again. I wanted to say something to thank him properly, but I couldn't find the words. How do you thank someone for saving your life? How do you apologize for believing the worst about them? When we reached the bottom of the mountain, I finally spoke up. "Johnny, I need to say something." He glanced at me, those dark eyes patient and kind. "I believed what people said about you," I continued. "I was scared of you, and I was wrong. You're not the person they say you are." He was quiet for a long moment, focusing on the road. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "People see what they want to see," he said. "I stopped trying to change their minds a long time ago." "But it's not fair." "Life's not fair," he said simply. "But that doesn't mean we stop trying to do right by people." We pulled into the parking lot where I'd left my car the day before. It seemed like a lifetime ago. "Thank you," I said as I got out, "for everything. You saved my life." He shook his head. "I just did what anyone would do." But that wasn't true, and we both knew it. Not everyone would have stopped. Not everyone would have taken a stranger into their home. Not everyone would have cared for them without expecting anything in return. I gave him my number and told him to call if he ever needed anything. He nodded, but didn't make any promises. As I drove away, I watched him in my rearview mirror, this solitary figure who'd shown me more kindness than I'd experienced in months. That was 6 months ago. I've tried to call Johnny a few times since then, just to check in, but he rarely answers. When he does, he's polite but distant, like he's not comfortable with gratitude or friendship. I've made it my mission to quietly correct people. When they spread rumors about him, I tell them about the man who stopped in a blizzard to help a stranger, who gave up his own comfort to make sure someone else was safe, who asks for nothing in return. Some people listen, others don't want to hear it. They prefer their version of Johnny Sins, the mysterious, dangerous outsider. It's easier than admitting they might be wrong about someone, but I know the truth. I know who Johnny Sins really is when no one is watching. He's the man who keeps firewood stacked for his elderly neighbor. He's the man who drives dangerous roads in snowstorms to help people he barely knows. He's the man who would rather be misunderstood than demand recognition for his goodness. I think about that night often, especially when I'm having a bad day or feeling sorry for myself. I think about how Johnny never complained, never asked for sympathy, never made his own struggles anyone else's problem. He just quietly did what needed to be done, the way he probably does every day. People always judged him. They still do. But I know who he really is, and that knowledge has changed how I see the world. It's made me more careful about assumptions, more willing to look beyond first impressions, more aware that sometimes the people who seem the most dangerous are actually the safest harbor in the storm. And sometimes late at night when I can't sleep, I wonder if Johnny Sins knows what a gift he gave me that night, not just saving my life, but showing me what real kindness looks like. quiet, selfless, and without expectation of reward. I hope someday he'll let me be the friend he deserves the way he was the hero I needed.